So this is probably one of the most highly requested videos in the last couple of months, and I just thought, bugger it, what is all this fuss about? So I decided to go and buy the Pocket 3. Now, there is a very limited amount of you guys that have seen my early videos on the Pocket 1 that really grew my channel right from the start. So I do obviously owe a lot to the Pocket 1, and I know a lot about the Pocket 1, Pocket 2, to know what is the go with the Pocket 3. So we got a lot to get through because we're going to be comparing 1, 2, and 3 for my first video, and then it's probably going to be a fair few in 2024 because this thing has surprised me once again. So let's get it. What's going on, my friends? I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Today, we're going to be comparing the Pocket 1, Pocket 2, and the brand new Osmo Pocket 3. DJI have come along with that 1-inch sensor, which a lot of us have been asking literally since the Pocket 1, and it's finally here. And well, it's finally here a few months ago. I'm very late to the party, but I thought, hey, why not? What's the fuss about? And now I know what the fuss is about, so let's get into some of the specs between these three. So the Osmo Pocket 1 has a 1/2.3 inch sensor, can film up to 4K 60, 1080p at 120 frames per second, has 8-bit codec, has a 1-inch LCD screen on the back, an f2.0 aperture, an 875 mAh battery, and weighs a total of 112 grams. The Osmo Pocket 2 has a 1/1.7 inch sensor, can film 4K 60, 1080p at 240 frames per second, 8-bit codec, also has a 1-inch LCD screen, an f1.8 aperture, an 875 mAh battery, and weighs a total of 117 grams. And the Osmo Pocket 3 has a larger 1-inch sensor, can do 4K at 120 frames per second, 1080p at 240 frames per second, 10-bit with D-Log-M, a 2-inch OLED screen on the back, an f2.0 aperture, a 1300 mAh battery, and weighs a total of 179 grams. So first of all, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and yeah, it's pretty much an elephant, and that's the size. It's no doubt that the Osmo Pocket 3 is a lot bigger because it's a 1-inch sensor. We're going to have a bigger camera, and obviously we're going to have, you know, more processing power in there to handle the 1-inch sensor. Pocket 1 is very pocketable, but a lot of people are saying the Pocket 3 isn't quite pocketable. It still is pocketable, but it's not like the Pocket 1. This thing was tiny and revolutionary, you know, pretty much when it was released. So before we actually talk about the image quality when it comes to that 1-inch sensor and 4K footage, we have to talk about the bitrate because the 1 and the 2 actually had only 8-bit color, whereas the new Pocket 3 has 10-bit codec, and we know the differences between that. And if you don't know the difference, there is like 16.7 million colors in 8-bit, then you've got 1.07 billion different colors in 10-bit. That is the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit. It is massive. The colors that you can get out of it is incredible. So there's smoother transitions from, you know, when you're looking at your sky, from all the blues that are actually in the sky. Smoother transitions makes it so much better. But yeah, let's talk about the image quality between these three. So we'll start off with a little bit of pixel peeping, and then we'll actually go into some of the footage. But I definitely have to mention that the Osmo Pocket 1 has a tighter lens than the Pocket 2 and Pocket 3. So it is closer to the subject, so it may appear a little bit sharper in some situations. You can see here with the Pocket 1, the image actually looks really good, quite sharp. But if you go over to the Pocket 2, there does seem to be a little bit of noise suppression, so it's not as sharp. And obviously the Pocket 3, there's really high resolution. It's very, very clean. It looks really, really nice. And probably, in my opinion, it looks the best out of the three. And it's a very similar story when it comes to 4K 50, although the Pocket 2 does seem like it applies way too much noise suppression in comparison to the Pocket 1. And the Pocket 3 just looks nice, clean, high resolution. It looks great. And strangely enough, the story changes a little bit when we go into slow motion. So the Pocket 1 actually looks quite good, but it does seem to crop in on the sensor to give you a fairly decent high resolution image, whereas the Pocket 2 looks quite mushy, not really much resolution, whereas the Osmo Pocket 3, relatively clean, but for 4K 120, it isn't significantly better than the 1080p 120 for the Pocket 1. And if we were to compare the 1080p in the Pocket 1 and the 240 in the Pocket 2 and Pocket 3, well, the Pocket 1 actually does seem a lot better. The 240 frames per second in the Pocket 2 and Pocket 3 is usable, but it's not great. So now we look at the footage in real world situation, and you can actually see the depth of field that's created by that 1-inch sensor of the Osmo Pocket 3, especially if you do come this close to your talent, to your subject. You can really see the depth of field. In my opinion, the Osmo Pocket 3 absolutely demolishes the Pocket 1 in terms of image quality, just the overall look. You can even see the focus is staying on the Pocket 3 as opposed to the Pocket 1. Now this is 4K 50 frames per second, and similar story, even though the Pocket 1 is nice and sharp, you can see that depth of field in the Pocket 3 because of the 1-inch sensor. Overall, the image just looks cleaner, looks better, more detailed in the Pocket 3. And if we have a look at the 4K 120 and 1080p 120, this is where you can see the difference. Sure, if you do pixel peep, they look pretty similar, but in real world situation, you can see a massive difference here. But also what I did notice is when I was running sideways, the gimbal was kind of tilted with the horizon. As opposed to the Pocket 3, it was nice and flat, but you can definitely see the crop when it comes to that 1080p on the Pocket 1, as opposed to the 4K on the Pocket 3. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you think of the images. What do you think looks better? We could all agree that the Pocket 3 does look better. That 1-inch sensor, the colors, the whole thing, it just looks absolutely phenomenal in comparison to the Pocket 1 and the Pocket 2. So in my opinion, after that sensor size, the biggest benefit that's actually coming out of the Pocket 3 actually is that flippable screen. This thing is incredible, and it is a very, very nice design. I didn't really think that DJI would actually bring something out like this in the Pocket 3, but they have actually done it, and it looks really great. So it's really good resolution. It's a really decent size, because if you know what the Pocket 1 and Pocket 2 screen is like, it is very small. It's very hard to see. But that was why they actually had connectivity through to your phone. So you kind of had to use your phone in a lot of different situations. Whereas with the Pocket 3, using the phone, you still can, it's optional, but this screen does make it a little bit easier because it's 2 inches rather than just a very measly 1-inch screen.
Jason, what's up? Thanks for having me on. Yes, the Pocket 3 came out and this thing is phenomenal. And I'm sure that you're covering this very well, but I just wanted to share with your audience some of the things I think that are really cool about this. For one, you swipe down on the menu and you can activate automatic tracking when you put it in selfie mode. So either when you hit the little icon at the bottom right or triple tap the joystick, it will turn around and it will automatically start tracking your face. Now that's not like a huge secret, but one of the things I find really awesome about it is that you can use the joystick to reframe yourself in that tracking. So maybe if your head is like in the middle of the frame and you kind of want it more on the top, you can actually just adjust that shot and it will keep it there. Or even just like if you want to be on the side, maybe if there's 2 people in the shot and you want both of them in, but also tracking you at the same time, you can do that. So that's really cool how you can reframe it, just making that auto tracking feature that much better. So I really love that. And one more cool tip, if you have the DJI Mic 2, I think one of the coolest things is that it can act as a remote control. So when you have it connected, you can actually hit this little linking button right here and it will actually start and stop recording, or it will take a photo if it's in photo mode. So that's really cool, some really cool tips and tricks. I also have a lot more of those on my channel. You can find me over at YouTube, just either at Danny Black or search for
Mr. Black.
So obviously over the Pocket 1, Pocket 2 and Pocket 3, there's going to be some firmware updates and obviously software and hardware differences between these, and there are some clear differences. But even with the Osmo Pocket 1, the Active Track was pretty decent back then, but this one has Active Track 6.0 and it is the best that DJI has got now, and it is absolutely incredible. There are a few different things that you can actually do when you're actually filming. So if you actually want to film yourself, you can position yourself into the thirds and lock it in that third if you really want to, or you can position your talent to be locked in the thirds. You can do it in the center. There are 9 different positions where you can actually choose, which is pretty interesting, even though majority of the time I'm just going to stick to the standard filming, lock me in the center, Active Track, but at least it gives you those options, whereas obviously the older versions don't have that, and that will definitely come down to just the hardware of what kind of processor they've got in there, and then obviously the software that they've come up with over the time. So this is probably the biggest benefit when it comes to the Pocket 3, and that happens to be the audio. So this is the DJI Mic 2 that you actually get out of the Creator Bundle, which gives you 32-bit internally into this device. So if you end up clipping the internal microphone that's going to be transferred over that wireless, you can pull out this and get a 32-bit float file, retrieve or recover the audio, which is a game changer. And when it comes to the Pocket 1 and Pocket 2, you don't have that. But there is nothing wrong with actually still utilizing this microphone with your Pocket 1 and Pocket 2 and just hitting the record and using the file directly out of this or any other wireless device for that matter. So in terms of low light, this is what we have. With the Pocket 3, we've actually got a specific low light mode, which essentially makes the image look pretty incredible. Obviously adds a little bit of noise suppression, which still makes the image look amazing. So the ISO level on the Pocket 3 right now is 400. We're 1/50th of a second shutter between all of them, except the ISO levels are actually different. The Pocket 1 level is at 1600, the Pocket 2 is also at 1600, but it's the Pocket 3 that's at 400 within that low light mode. And the image looks incredibly bright, it's clean. You just can't beat the low light performance in a larger sensor and a better processor in this Pocket 3. So one of the interesting things about the Pocket 3 is that there is one feature that the Pocket 2 actually beats the Pocket 3 in, and that is having a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom. They've actually gone back to what the Pocket 1 has with just a USB-C on the bottom. This one, you actually have to put an added attachment onto the bottom, and then you can screw on the small tripod onto the bottom, which makes it a little bit bigger. But I mean, in that kind of situation, if you're gonna be putting it on a tripod, size doesn't really matter anyway. So it really depends on what you think is a pro or a con. But like I said, if you're gonna be putting it on a tripod or putting it down, size isn't going to matter at all. Then you also have this piece right here. So this is an external battery which actually connects directly into here exactly the same way, has a tripod mount on the bottom, so you can actually put that tripod on the bottom, and it does actually make it quite significantly bigger, but you actually get a lot more battery power directly out of this because obviously internal has a very small battery because it's a small device. This just gives you that little bit more. So one of the biggest questions is, who exactly are these for? Now back in the day, they were for vloggers, travel vloggers, anyone who wanted just a pocketable camera that could literally point and shoot and get the job done, get nice steady footage that looked pretty decent, those kind of people. But there are actually a lot of people utilizing this for real estate videos, for professional videos, B-roll, trying to intercut it with their standard professional videos because the image quality out of this is incredible that some people won't even realize that you've used this if it's quick enough. That's the key thing about who these things are for. The lines are starting to get blurred when it comes to having a professional cinema camera or having, you know, DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This is really great for us consumers because we can get something that's this cheap and this pocketable and get incredible looking images out of it. So anyway, my friends, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've actually picked one of these up or if you're thinking about it. I'd like to know your thoughts, but if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like I said, there will be a couple more videos coming out on the Pocket 3, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it.